The knock came at exactly 11:58 p.m. on Christmas Eve. 3 sharp raps that echoed through Lisa Warren's small apartment with a precision that felt wrong, too measured, too deliberate, like someone counting out a rhythm they'd practiced for centuries. Lisa froze on her couch, wine glass halfway to her lips. She lived on the 4th floor of a building with a locked entrance and a security system that required a code. Nobody should be at her door. Nobody could be at her door. The knock came again. Same rhythm. Same intensity. And with it, a sound that made her skin crawl, the faint jingle of bells, muffled and distant, as if coming from somewhere much further away than just outside her apartment. Ho, ho, ho. The voice was deep. Too deep. Like it was coming from the bottom of a well, or from something with a chest cavity far larger than any human's. Each syllable resonated with harmonics that didn't belong in a human voice. Frequencies that made her teeth ache and her inner ear throb with pressure. Lisa set down her wine glass with shaking hands. She lived alone. Her family was 3 states away. She hadn't ordered anything. She wasn't expecting anyone. She crept toward the door, her heart hammering. Through the peephole, she saw him. Santa Claus. Full red suit. White fur trim. Black boots. Massive sack thrown over one shoulder. The costume was perfect. Too perfect, like something from a high-budget movie rather than a mall photo op. But his face. God, his face. The beard was real, she could see individual hairs, could see the way it moved with his breathing. But beneath it, his skin had a waxy quality, like something that had been dead and carefully preserved. His eyes were the worst. They reflected the hallway light like an animal's eyes, throwing back a green-gold shine that no human eyes should produce. And he was smiling. A wide, too wide smile that showed teeth that were just slightly too sharp, too white, too perfectly aligned. Lisa Warren, he said, his voice making the door vibrate against her forehead. You've been on my list for a very, very long time. Welcome back to Dark Shift Stories, where Christmas isn't always merry and bright. Tonight's story comes from Chicago, Illinois, where one woman's Christmas Eve alone turned into a nightmare that challenged everything we think we know about the holiday's most beloved figure. Before we begin, I need to ask, are you home alone right now? Are your doors locked? Because after you hear what happened to Lisa Warren, you might want to check them again. If this story chills you to the bone, smash that like button, subscribe for more true horror, and comment where you're watching from, but maybe don't mention if you're alone. Now, let's talk about the Santa that came knocking when he shouldn't exist. Lisa Warren, 34, had spent Christmas Eve alone by choice. After a brutal divorce finalized in October and a job layoff 3 weeks before the holidays, she'd decided that this year, Christmas could go fuck itself. Her family had invited her to Minnesota, but she declined. Too expensive. Too exhausting. Too much forced cheer when all she wanted was to drink wine and watch mindless Netflix until the holiday passed. Her apartment building in Chicago's Logan Square neighborhood was quiet. Most residents had left to visit family. The hallways echoed with emptiness. Even Mrs. Kowalski next door, who normally played her TV at deafening volume, had gone to stay with her daughter in Oak Park. Lisa had the 4th floor essentially to herself. She'd settled in with a bottle of Pinot Grigio, a frozen pizza, and a plan to ignore Christmas entirely. No tree. No decorations. No music. Just blessed silence and the numbing glow of a screen. Outside, snow fell in thick, lazy flakes. The kind of Christmas Eve snow that looked beautiful but made her grateful she didn't have to drive anywhere. The streets were empty, the city settling into that strange hush that only happened a few times a year. The building itself was a 1920s conversion, solid brick, high ceilings, original hardwood floors. The kind of place that had character, which was realtor speak for, quirky and slightly creepy. Lisa's apartment was a studio, barely 500 square feet, but it was hers. Or would be, once she figured out how to pay next month's rent. She'd been scrolling mindlessly through her phone, half watching a baking show, when the temperature in her apartment dropped noticeably. Not gradually. Suddenly, like someone had opened a freezer door. Her breath misted in front of her face. The radiator was on. She could hear it clanking. But the cold was absolute, invasive, the kind of cold that felt intelligent. That's when the knock came. Now, standing at her peephole, staring at the thing wearing a Santa suit, Lisa's rational mind tried to find explanations. A neighbor playing a prank. A drunk person at the wrong door. A creepy boyfriend of someone in the building. But the rational explanations crumbled when Santa turned his head and looked directly at the peephole. Directly at her eye. As if he could see through the door. As if the solid wood and metal were transparent to whatever vision he possessed. "I can hear your heartbeat, Lisa," he said softly. "Rapid. Frightened. You were always such a nervous child. Even when you wanted something so badly, you were afraid to ask for it." Lisa stumbled backward from the door. How did he know her name? How did he know anything about her childhood? "I don't know who you are," she called through the door, proud that her voice only shook a little, "but you need to leave. I'm calling the police." She grabbed her phone, but before she could dial, it rang. Unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Ho, ho, ho." The voice on the phone was the same as the voice at the door, but layered now, as if multiple versions of it were speaking simultaneously. "The police can't help you, Lisa. This isn't their jurisdiction. This is between you and me. And the list." "What list? What the hell are you talking about?" "You know what list. The one you've been on since you were 7 years old. The one that never forgets. The one that always collects." Lisa's blood froze. 7 years old. Christmas 1997. The year she... No. That was impossible. That was just a stupid childhood game. It didn't mean anything. It wasn't real. "I see you remember," the voice said with satisfaction. "Good. That makes this easier. Now open the door, Lisa. I've come a long way, and I have a gift for you. One you asked for. One you promised to pay for. I don't want anything from you." "Ah, but you did. You wanted it so badly. And I delivered. I always deliver. But gifts require payment, Lisa. Especially gifts like the one you requested. And the bill." The voice deepened, harmonics shifting into registers that made her vision blur. "Is 27 years overdue." Lisa hung up. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped the phone. This was insane. This was some kind of elaborate harassment. Maybe her ex-husband had hired someone to fuck with her. Maybe this was a sick joke. But deep down, in the part of her brain that still remembered being 7 years old and desperate and angry enough to try anything, she knew. This was real. And whatever was at her door had come to collect a debt she tried very hard to forget. The doorknob began to turn. Slowly. Deliberately. Lisa had locked it. She'd deadbolt it. She'd put the chain on. But the lock clicked open anyway. The deadbolt slid back with a metallic snick. The chain rattled once, then fell away, hitting the floor with a sound like breaking bones. The door opened. And Santa stepped inside. He was bigger than he'd looked through the peephole. 7 feet tall, maybe more, his frame filling the doorway in a way that violated the room's proportions. The red suit fit perfectly, but now Lisa could see details that made her stomach churn. The fabric moved wrong. Breathed. Pulsed. As if it were alive. Or as if what wore it wasn't quite solid, constantly shifting beneath the costume. The beard was real, but it grew from skin that had a bluish tinge in the apartment's light, like flesh that hadn't seen sun in centuries. Or like something that had never been alive to begin with. And his eyes. Those terrible, reflective eyes that caught the light and threw it back in colors that didn't exist in nature. He set down his sack with a heavy thud that made the floorboards crack. The bag was massive, stained with something dark around the bottom, and it moved slightly, as if things inside were shifting, settling, trying to get comfortable. "Lisa Warren," he said, his smile never wavering. "It's been 27 years. You've grown. But I'd know you anywhere. The ones who make bargains, they have a mark on them. Invisible to human eyes, but I see it clearly." Lisa backed toward her kitchenette, her hand fumbling for the knife block on the counter. "Get out. Get out of my apartment or I'll..." "You'll what? Stab me?" He laughed, and the sound was like wind through a cemetery, like the creaking of frozen trees about to snap. "I'm not here to hurt you, child. I'm here to deliver. And to collect. I don't owe you anything." "Oh, but you do." He reached into his coat, not a pocket, but into the coat itself, his hand disappearing into the red fabric up to his elbow, as if the suit was deeper than it should be, containing spaces that couldn't exist. He pulled out a piece of paper. Even from across the room, Lisa recognized it. The letter. The one she'd written when she was 7 years old, sitting in her bedroom on Christmas Eve 1997, crying so hard she could barely see the paper, writing in her child's handwriting. "Dear Santa. I hate my sister. I hate her so much. She's mean and everyone loves her more than me and I wish she would just go away forever. I want to be the only child. I want all the attention and all the love and all the presents. Please make her go away. I'll give you anything. Love, Lisa." She'd burned that letter in her bedroom trash can. Watched it curl and blacken and turn to ash. She'd been too young to understand what she was really asking for, too angry to care about consequences. 2 days later, on December 27th, her sister Emily went missing from the playground 3 blocks from their house. They never found her body. Lisa had spent 27 years telling herself it was a coincidence. A horrible, tragic coincidence. That there was no connection between a stupid letter an angry 7-year-old wrote and a child abduction that tore her family apart. But she'd always known. Deep down. She'd always known. "You remember," Santa said softly, holding the letter delicately between his fingers. "The paper should have been ash. Should have been impossible. But there it was, pristine, her child's handwriting perfectly preserved. You asked. I delivered. And now the payment is due. Where is she?" Lisa's voice broke. "Where's Emily? What did you do to her? I gave you what you asked for. She went away. Forever. Just as you wanted." He tilted his head, beard shifting to reveal more of that waxy, wrong skin. "You got your wish, Lisa. You became the only child. All the attention. All the love. All the presents. Well." He smiled wider. "All the love that was left after they tore themselves apart looking for her. After your mother started drinking. After your father left. After the family you wanted to be the center of ceased to exist. I was 7. I didn't know what I was asking for. Didn't you?" He took a step closer. His boots didn't make a sound on the hardwood, as if he weighed nothing, or as if he existed slightly out of phase with reality. "You knew enough to call on me. Not the storybook Santa who brings toys and joy. But the old one. The one who answers the dark wishes. The one who grants the prayers children whisper in the dark when they're angry enough, desperate enough, willing to pay any price." Lisa's back hit the wall. She had nowhere left to retreat. "What do you want from me?" "Payment. The bargain was clear, you'd give me anything. And I've decided what I want. He reached into his sack, pulling out a smaller bag, this one made of what looked like leather. Old leather. The kind that. Lisa refused to think about what kind of leather it might be. Inside this bag is a gift. Your gift. The one you asked for 27 years ago, delivered fresh. He held it out. Take it. No. You must. That's the rule. The gift must be accepted, or the bargain remains incomplete. And incomplete bargains, they fester. They spread. They consume. His voice dropped to a whisper. Take the gift, Lisa. See what you paid for. See what your sister's life purchased. Lisa's hand moved against her will. She felt her fingers close around the bag, felt its weight settle into her palm. It was warm. Impossibly warm. And it pulsed with a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat. Open it, Santa commanded. No. Open it. His voice thundered through the apartment with physical force, rattling windows, knocking over her wine glass, making her ears pop with pressure. Not a request. A command that bypassed her conscious mind and went straight to her motor functions. Her hands opened the bag. Inside was a snow globe. Beautiful. Intricate. Impossibly detailed. Inside the glass was a perfect replica of her childhood home. The house in Minnesota where she'd grown up. Every detail exact, the blue shutters, the oak tree in the front yard, even the swing set in the back. And tiny figures, moving inside. Her family. Her mother, father, Anne. Emily. 7 years old forever. Trapped inside the glass. Walking through the house. Sitting at the dinner table. Playing in the yard. Living a life that was frozen in crystal, eternal and unchanging. She's alive, Lisa whispered, horror and impossible hope warring in her chest. She's alive in there. In a manner of speaking. She exists in the moment I took her. Forever 7. Forever the day after Christmas 1997. Forever wondering why she can't leave the yard. Why her parents don't hear her screaming. Santa leaned close, his breath smelling like pine needles and old blood. Your gift, Lisa. You wanted her gone. I put her somewhere she can never return from. And I gave you the privilege of watching her suffer for eternity. Lisa dropped the snow globe. It hit the floor but didn't break, just bounced once, twice, and settled upright. Inside, tiny Emily looked up, her mouth open in a scream Lisa couldn't hear. No, Lisa sobbed. No, take it back. Bring her back. I'll do anything. Anything. Santa's smile became predatory. How interesting. Because that's exactly what you said the first time. And look where that led. He reached out, his fingers, too long, with too many joints, gripping her chin, forcing her to look at him. But the payment isn't the snow globe, child. That's just a reminder. The real payment is something else. What? A replacement. Lisa's blood turned to ice. The old bargain requires balance. A child taken must be replaced. A child given must be collected. He released her chin, straightening to his full, impossible height. You took Emily's place in your family. Now you must take her place in mine. I don't understand. You will. He gestured to the sack. The bag shifted, opening wider, and Lisa saw what was inside. Children. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. All different ages, all frozen in various states of terror, their eyes wide and aware but their bodies motionless. Packed into the bag like dolls, their faces pressed against each other, their mouths open in silent screams. My collection, Santa said proudly. Every child who was wished away by a sibling's anger. Every inconvenient son or daughter that parents secretly wanted gone. Every child who made a bargain they couldn't keep. All mine now. Forever traveling in my sack. Forever helping me deliver gifts on Christmas Eve. Forever spreading the darkness that powers the old magic. He reached for Lisa. No. She scrambled away, grabbing the knife from the counter. Stay back. The knife won't help. I'm not flesh, child. Not anymore. I'm the deal. I'm the bargain. I'm the darkness that answers when desperate people call out in the night. You can't kill a concept. You can only fulfill it. Lisa slashed at him anyway. The blade passed through his arm like cutting through smoke. He didn't even flinch. Come now, he said gently, almost kindly. It won't hurt. You'll be frozen like the others. Aware but unable to move. Aware but unable to speak. You'll watch as I visit house after house, collecting and delivering, spreading the old magic. You'll watch for centuries as the collection grows. And eventually, you'll forget you were ever anything else. His hand closed around her wrist, and where he touched, her skin went numb. The numbness spread up her arm, across her shoulder, down into her chest. She was freezing. Becoming ice. Becoming another doll for the sack. Lisa's mind raced. There had to be a way out. There was always a way out of fairy tale bargains. You just had to find the loophole, the trick, the snow globe. Her eyes fixed on it, on tiny Emily trapped inside. If Emily was the original payment, if she was what powered the bargain. With her free hand, Lisa grabbed the snow globe. Santa's eyes widened. Don't. She raised it above her head and brought it down on the edge of the counter with all her strength. The globe shattered. The sound was apocalyptic. Not just breaking glass, but something fundamental rupturing. Reality cracked like ice on a frozen pond, spiderweb fractures spreading from the broken snow globe across the floor, up the walls, across the ceiling. Santa screamed, actually screamed, a sound that combined 1,000 voices in agony. What have you done? The numbness in Lisa's arm reversed, sensation flooding back with painful intensity. Santa released her, staggering backward, his form flickering like a bad television signal. From the shattered snow globe, something emerged. Not tiny Emily. Full-sized Emily. 27 years old, exactly as she would be if she'd lived. But wrong. Translucent. Flickering between child and adult, between solid and ghost, her eyes hollow pits that leaked darkness. Sister, Emily said, her voice echoing with years of imprisonment, years of silent screaming in a glass prison. Sister, what did you do to me? Emily, Lisa couldn't finish. What could she say? I was 7 and angry and I wished you away and something ancient and evil answered. Emily's form solidified, becoming more real, more present. She looked down at her hands, flexing fingers she hadn't felt in nearly 3 decades. I was trapped, she whispered. Aware the whole time. Watching Mom and Dad search for me. Watching them tear themselves apart. Watching you grow up, live your life, while I stayed 7 forever. Her eyes, now solid, now furious, fixed on Lisa. You did this. I didn't know. You wished for it. Emily's scream shook the apartment. Pictures fell from walls. The windows cracked. You wanted me gone and he took me and you never told anyone. You just accepted it. You just lived your life. Santa was on his knees, his form destabilizing further. The bargain, the payment was set, you can't break what's already paid. But Emily turned to him, and her expression was terrible. You took me. You put me in that prison. You fed on my family's suffering for 27 years. You were the payment. Santa's voice was weakening, multiple tones falling out of harmony. The deal was made. The magic was bound. Then let's complete the deal, Emily said. She reached out, grabbed Santa's beard, and yanked. The beard came away in her hands. And with it, the face beneath. It wasn't a face. It was a void. A swirling darkness filled with eyes, hundreds of them, thousands, all the children trapped in the sack, all looking out through the thing that called itself Santa. The red suit fell away like paper, revealing something underneath that Lisa's mind refused to process. Something with too many limbs, too many mouths, too many. Emily plunged her hand into the void. Santa / the thing / the ancient evil howled. The sack exploded open, children tumbling out. Not frozen anymore, but moving, screaming, decades or centuries of pent-up terror finally finding voice. They swarmed the thing, these ghost children, these collected souls. They tore at it with translucent hands, pulling pieces away, dismantling it like it had dismantled their lives. The bargain is broken. Emily shouted over the chaos. The payment is refused. The deal is void. The thing that had been Santa collapsed into itself, folding through dimensions, its screams fading as it was pulled back to wherever it had come from. The children followed, drawn after it like they were tethered, their own screams mixing with its death throes. In seconds, the apartment was silent. Only Emily remained, standing in the wreckage of Lisa's apartment, glass from the snow globe crunching under her translucent feet. Emily, Lisa breathed. You're free. You can. I'm not free. Emily's form was fading, becoming less substantial. I'm dead, Lisa. I died the moment he took me. The globe kept me aware, kept me suffering, but I was already gone. Breaking it just let me end it. Let me stop him. But I can't stay. No, please. I forgive you. Emily smiled, and for a moment, she looked like the 7-year-old Lisa remembered. You were a kid. A stupid, angry kid. It wasn't your fault. Her smile faded. But it wasn't not your fault either. You'll have to live with that. Live with knowing what your wish cost. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. Emily was barely visible now, just an outline. Goodbye, Lisa. Live better. Be better. Don't waste the life I never got to have. She disappeared. Lisa stood alone in her destroyed apartment, surrounded by broken glass and the lingering smell of pine needles and blood. Her phone rang. She answered automatically, her mind still processing what had happened. Lisa? Honey? Her mother's voice, the first time they'd spoken in 3 years. I don't know why I'm calling. I just had this feeling. Like a weight lifted. Like something that's been crushing me for decades just, let go. Are you okay? Lisa looked at the shattered snow globe, at the crack in reality that was slowly sealing itself. Yeah, Mom. I'm okay. I think we're all going to be okay now. They talked for an hour. Really talked, for the first time since Emily disappeared. Her mother cried. Lisa cried. And slowly, tentatively, they started rebuilding something that had been broken for 27 years. When Lisa finally hung up and looked around her apartment, she noticed something. On her coffee table, where the snow globe had been, was a photograph. Emily, age 7, smiling at the camera. The photo was new, it hadn't existed before tonight. And written on the back in child's handwriting. Thank you for setting me free. Emily. P.S. He's not the only one. There are others. Other Santas. Other things that answer dark wishes. Be careful what you wish for. Lisa turned the photo over, staring at her sister's smiling face. And realized with creeping horror that this wasn't over. For 3 weeks, Lisa tried to return to normal life. She cleaned her apartment, repaired the damage from Santa's visit, and told herself it was over. A one-time nightmare. An impossible debt paid and cancelled. But Emily's warning haunted her, there are others. Lisa started researching. Late nights on obscure internet forums, reading accounts from people who'd made childhood bargains they couldn't take back. She found patterns. Stories from around the world. Different figures, different holidays, but the same basic structure. Desperate children making impossible wishes. Dark entities answering. Payments coming due years, even decades later. And one name kept appearing in the forums, the Collectors Network. A support group for people who'd made bargains with the old things. People trying to break deals, trying to save others, trying to stop the entities that fed on desperation and grief. Lisa found their contact information and sent a message. Within hours, she received a response. "We've been expecting you. Someone broke a major contract on Christmas Eve. We felt it. Meet us." The address was a church basement in Pilsen, 3 miles from her apartment. On January 15th, Lisa attended her first meeting. 12 people sat in a circle, ranging from teenagers to elderly. Each one had a story. Each one had made a bargain, or had a family member who had, or was trying to stop these things from claiming more victims. A woman named Catherine ran the meeting. She was in her 60s, rail-thin, with scars on her wrists that she didn't bother hiding. "Welcome, Lisa," Catherine said. "We know what you did. Breaking a snow globe contract. Refusing payment. Banishing a Yule entity back to its origin point." She smiled, but it was a sad, tired smile. "That took strength. And it cost you. They always cost." "Emily," Lisa whispered. "My sister. She's gone. But free. That's more than most get." Catherine gestured to the others. "We're all carrying debts or fighting them. Some of us made deals. Some of us are trying to save people who did. And some of us." She pulled up her sleeve, revealing a tattoo that covered her entire forearm. Symbols Lisa didn't recognize, arranged in intricate patterns. "Some of us have learned to fight back." A young man named Derek spoke up. "The things that answer desperate prayers, they're old. Older than human civilization. They exist in the spaces between what's real and what's believed. Christmas, birthdays, New Year's, Dia de los Muertos, any time humans make wishes, these things listen. And when the wishes are dark enough, desperate enough, they answer." "Why?" Lisa asked. "What do they get out of it?" "Power," Catherine said. "Every bargain they fulfill strengthens them. Every soul they collect feeds them. They're parasites on human hope and desperation. And they're patient. They can wait decades for payment because they exist outside normal time. So how do we stop them? We can't. Not completely. But we can disrupt them. Break contracts. Refuse payments. Spread the word so fewer people make deals in the first place." Catherine's expression hardened. "And sometimes, we hunt them." She opened a laptop, showing Lisa a map. Dozens of pins marked locations across the United States. Confirmed entity manifestations in the last month alone. Christmas brought out a lot of them, it's their busiest season. But now we're in the lull. January, February, they're weakest then. That's when we strike. "Strike how?" A woman named Paula answered. "The entities need belief to manifest. They need the bargain makers to maintain their faith in the deal. If we can find people who made contracts, convince them to refuse payment, the entities weaken. Some of them even dissipate entirely. But it's dangerous," Derek added. "The entities don't like us interfering. They fight back." He pulled up his shirt, showing scars that looked like claw marks, 4 parallel gouges across his ribs. "Krampus," he said simply. "Austria," 2019. We saved a kid from being taken, but the thing was, not happy about it. Lisa absorbed this. A whole underground network of people fighting fairy tale monsters. It sounded insane. But she'd seen Santa dissolve into a void of screaming children. She'd watched her dead sister punch through a snow globe prison. Insane was relative now. I want to help, she said. Catherine studied her. You've already paid a terrible price. Your sister. Your childhood. 27 years of guilt. You sure you want to go deeper into this? Lisa thought about Emily. About the 7-year-old girl trapped in glass, aware but unable to scream, watching her family destroy itself. She thought about all the other children in Santa's sack. How many of them were still out there, collected by other entities, suffering in other impossible prisons? I'm sure. Good. Catherine slid a folder across the table. Because we have a situation. Pennsylvania. A family with 3 kids. The middle child made a birthday wish 6 years ago. She wished her older brother would disappear and never come back. 3 days later, he vanished from his bedroom. No trace. No leads. The case is cold. And the entity? Wants the sister now. She's 13. She's been having nightmares for the past month. A figure in a party hat, carrying balloons, standing at the foot of her bed. Getting closer every night. We estimate she has less than a week before it collects. Lisa opened the folder. Inside was a photo of a girl with haunted eyes, dark circles from lack of sleep, clutching a teddy bear that looked too young for her. Her name was Mia. When do we leave? Lisa asked. Catherine smiled. Tomorrow morning. But that night, back in her apartment, Lisa woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of bells. Faint. Distant. But unmistakable. She got up, walked to her window, and looked out at the snow-covered street below. Standing under a streetlight was a figure in a red suit. Not the same one. This one was smaller. Thinner. The suit was faded, dirty. And instead of a beard, this one had a face like a child's drawing, features that were almost right but slightly wrong, eyes too far apart, mouth too wide. It looked up at her window and waved. Then reached into its sack and pulled out a snow globe. Inside the globe was Lisa. Trapped. Screaming silently. The figure shook the globe, making the tiny Lisa tumble around inside, then placed it carefully on the ground. It tipped its hat to her and walked away, disappearing into the falling snow. Lisa ran downstairs, out into the street, to where the globe had been placed. It was real. Solid. And inside, the tiny version of herself was still screaming. A note was tied to it with a red ribbon. You broke one contract. But he had friends. Brothers. Cousins. A whole family of collectors. And they're very interested in meeting you. See you next Christmas Eve. Kringle. Lisa stood in the snow, holding the globe, watching her tiny self suffer. And understood that this was just the beginning. The next 3 months became a blur of travel and terror. Pennsylvania. They saved Mia by convincing her to refuse the birthday entity, to denounce her wish publicly and accept responsibility for what she'd done. The thing in the party hat had screamed and dissolved, but not before leaving claw marks on Catherine's back. Texas. A boy who'd wished his abusive father would go away forever. The father had disappeared, but now the entity wanted the boy as replacement. They got there too late. The boy was gone, but they found the father, alive, imprisoned in a music box, tiny and screaming, forced to dance to the same tune over and over for eternity. Oregon. Twin sisters who'd made a pact with something called the Wishgrantair. Both sisters vanished, leaving behind only their teeth, arranged in patterns on their bedroom floors. The patterns spelled out coordinates. The team was still trying to figure out what the coordinates meant. Lisa learned. She learned about the different entities. The birthday demons, who collected on wishes made while blowing out candles. The midnight bargainers, who answered prayers whispered at the stroke of New Year's. The tooth collectors, who granted wishes made after losing baby teeth. The holiday family, a network of entities that included Santa, but also Krampus, Père Fouettard, Belsnickel, and dozens of other cultural variations on the gift-giving/punishment-dealing archetype. And she learned that Catherine was right. January and February were the weak months. The entities were less powerful, less able to manifest fully. But March would bring spring, and with it, Easter. Another major wishing holiday. Another surge in their power. The network raced against the calendar, trying to save as many contract holders as they could before the entities grew strong again. Lisa's apartment became a research center. Walls covered with maps, photographs, news clippings of missing children and unexplained disappearances. She cross-referenced fairy tales with missing persons reports, looking for patterns, trying to predict where the entities would strike next. The snow globe stayed on her mantle. The tiny Lisa inside never stopped screaming. It was a reminder. A threat. A promise that the Kringle family, whatever they were, hadn't forgotten about her. In March, Catherine called an emergency meeting. We've got a problem. Multiple reports of Easter Bunny manifestations. But they're not following the normal pattern. Usually, the entities wait until close to the holiday. These ones are appearing weeks early. And they're aggressive. How aggressive? Lisa asked. Catherine pulled up a photo on her laptop. A hospital room. A child, couldn't be more than 6, covered in scratches and bite marks. Philadelphia. Kid wished for all the candy in the world during an egg hunt last year. Last week, a 7-foot rabbit with human teeth showed up at her bedroom window. It's been trying to get in every night. The parents called police. Police thought they were crazy. Until the thing showed up while officers were there. What happened? 2 officers in ICU. 1 missing. The rabbit took him. We don't know where. Lisa felt ice in her stomach. The entities are getting bolder. Not just bolder. Coordinated. Catherine showed more photos. Similar attacks across the country, all in the past 2 weeks. It's like they're testing our defenses. Seeing how much they can get away with before we respond. Derek spoke up. They know about us. The network. They know we're interfering with contracts. And they're not happy. So what do we do? Paula asked. Catherine closed her laptop. We make a choice. We can pull back, stop interfering, and hope they leave us alone. Or we escalate. Find their origin points, their anchors, and try to cut them off at the source. How do we do that? We go to the places where the stories started. The original sites of the first bargains. Every entity has an origin, a moment when human belief and desperate prayer first gave it form. If we can find those moments, those places, we might be able to unravel them. That's suicide, Paula said flatly. Those sites will be defended. Trapped. The entities will know we're coming. Probably. But what's the alternative? Keep playing defense while they pick off contract holders and eventually come for us directly? Catherine looked at each of them. I'm going. Whether alone or with help. But I'm going. Lisa thought about Emily. About Mia. About all the children still trapped in snow globes and music boxes and birthday cakes and whatever other impossible prisons these things created. I'm in, she said. One by one, the others agreed. 2 weeks later, they were on a plane to northern Germany. To the Black Forest. Where, according to Catherine's research, the original Santa, the one that predated Christianity, predated Christmas, predated civilization itself, had first been summoned. Where something ancient and hungry had first answered a desperate prayer. Where, maybe, they could end this. The Black Forest was older than its name suggested. Older than Germany. Older than the concept of nations. The trees were massive, their branches forming a canopy so thick that even at midday, the forest floor was in twilight. Catherine's research had led them to a specific location, a clearing marked on medieval maps as Kinderfresser Tal, the Child Eater's Valley. They hiked for 6 hours before finding it. The clearing was wrong. Geometrically wrong. Trees grew in perfect circles around it, their branches all bent away as if repelled by something at the center. The ground was bare earth, no grass, no moss, no plants of any kind. And in the exact middle stood a structure. Not a building. A door. Just a door. Wooden, ancient, standing upright with no walls, no frame, no structure to support it. It simply stood, defying physics and sense, its surface carved with symbols that hurt to look at. "That's it," Catherine whispered. "The original. The anchor point. What's on the other side?" Lisa asked. "According to the legends. The place where the hungry things live. The void between belief and reality. The source of all the entities." Derek was checking his equipment, salt, iron filings, symbols copied from ancient texts. "How do we destroy it?" "We don't. We can't. It's been here for thousands of years, maybe millions. It's woven into the fabric of reality." Catherine pulled out a different tool. A small hammer and a bundle of iron nails. "But we can seal it. Lock it from this side. Make it so the entities can't cross as easily. It won't stop them completely, but it'll weaken them. Make them less able to manifest. Less able to collect. And to do that," Paula said, reading from Catherine's notes, "someone has to go through. Carry the nails to the other side. Hammer them in from the inside." Everyone looked at the door. "It's a one-way trip," Catherine said quietly. "Whoever goes through won't come back." Silence. "I'll do it," Lisa said. "Lisa. I started this. Or my wish did. My anger and my selfishness created the opportunity for that thing to take Emily. I owe this. You don't owe." "Yes, I do." Lisa took the hammer and nails from Catherine. "Besides, I've already got a price on my head. The Kringle family is coming for me anyway. At least this way, I go out doing something useful." Catherine's eyes were wet. "You're a braver person than I am." "No. I'm just tired of children suffering for wishes they didn't understand." Lisa looked at the door. "How do I open it?" "You knock. And you offer yourself in exchange for passage." Lisa approached the door. This close, she could hear things on the other side. Whispers. Screams. Laughter. The jingling of bells. The sound of children crying. All the voices of all the entity's victims, echoing in the void. She raised her hand and knocked 3 times. The door opened. Beyond was darkness. But not empty darkness. Inhabited darkness. She could see shapes moving, could see eyes reflecting impossible light, could see. "I offer myself," Lisa said clearly. "In exchange for passage." The darkness rippled. "Accepted." She took a step forward. "Lisa, wait." Catherine grabbed her arm. "There's something else. Something I didn't tell you." "What?" "The entities, they're not evil. Not really. They're reflections. Manifestations of human darkness. They exist because we create them. Every angry wish, every desperate prayer, every dark thought, we feed them. And as long as humans exist, as long as we're capable of darkness, they'll exist too. So even if I seal this door, new doors will appear. Maybe not for years. Maybe centuries. But eventually. Catherine's grip tightened. But maybe that's enough. Maybe buying humanity time to grow, to learn to be better, to stop making these bargains, maybe that's victory enough. Lisa nodded. Then I guess I'd better make it count. She stepped through the door. The darkness swallowed her immediately. She was falling, flying, existing in multiple directions at once. Around her, she could see them, all the entities. The birthday demons, the tooth collectors, the holiday family. And at the center, the oldest one. The first one. Santa. Not wearing his suit. Not wearing any disguise. Just the thing itself, a mass of hunger and belief and human darkness given form. It looked at her. Recognized her. The girl who broke the bargain, it said in a voice like cracking ice. You come to our home. I come to close the door. You cannot. The door has always been open. Will always be open. As long as humans wish, as long as they pray in darkness, we exist. We are you. Your shadow. Your doubt. Your anger. You cannot destroy us without destroying yourselves. Maybe not. But I can make it harder for you to reach us. Harder to collect. Harder to feed. Lisa pulled out the iron nails. And maybe that's enough. The entity laughed. Iron. The old binding. You think metal can contain us? No. But Emily thought belief could free her. And she was right. So maybe belief can bind you too. Lisa raised the hammer. I believe you can be stopped. I believe children can be safe. I believe broken bargains can stay broken. She drove the first nail into the door frame. The entities screamed. The second nail. The third. Each one a new binding, a new seal, a new barrier between the darkness and the world. The Santa thing lunged at her, but it was weakening, becoming less substantial. You're making it worse. The hunger will grow. The desperation will intensify. Humans will find new ways to bargain. New entities will be born. Maybe. But you won't be the ones answering. Lisa drove in the final nail. The door slammed shut. She was trapped on the other side. In the void. In the dark. With all the entities. They surrounded her, furious, hungry. She could feel them reaching for her, trying to claim her, trying to add her to their collections. But she felt something else too. Emily's hand in hers. Sister, Emily said, her voice clear and real despite being dead and gone. You're not alone here. And around them, others appeared. All the children who'd refused. All the victims who'd broken their bargains. All the souls who denied the entities their payment. They formed a circle around Lisa, a barrier of refusal, of broken contracts, of human will that had said no to the darkness. We've been waiting, a boy said, the one from the music box, his father dancing endlessly behind him. For someone strong enough to close the door from this side, Mia added, the girl from Pennsylvania. We can't leave, Emily said. We're already gone. Already part of this place. But we can hold them. Keep them from breaking through. Keep the door sealed. For how long? Lisa asked. Forever. Or until humans stop feeding them. Whichever comes first. Lisa understood. She wasn't going to die. She was going to become something else. A guardian. A seal. A living lock on the door between darkness and light. Will it hurt? No, Emily smiled. It'll be like sleeping. Like dreaming. And maybe, someday, when humanity doesn't need us anymore, we'll wake up. Lisa felt herself changing. Becoming less solid. Becoming part of the barrier. Her last thought before the transformation completed was of Catherine and the others, finding the door sealed, unable to open it, realizing what she'd done. Her last hope was that they'd use the time she'd bought them wisely. And then she became the seal itself. Eternal. Unbreaking. A promise that the darkness would not pass. Not today. Not for a very long time. Catherine and the team stood in front of the door in the Black Forest clearing. It wouldn't open. They tried everything. Knocking, calling, pleading. The door remained sealed, Lisa's final nail visible in the frame, glowing faintly with a light that had no source. She did it, Derek whispered. She sealed it from the inside. And trapped herself there, Paula added, tears streaming down her face. Catherine placed her hand on the door. It was warm. Alive. She could feel Lisa on the other side, could feel the presence of all the children who'd become guardians. Thank you, she whispered. They returned to the United States a week later. And immediately noticed the difference. The entities were weaker. Not gone, Catherine had been right about that, they'd never be completely gone, but diminished. Harder to manifest. Less able to collect. Contracts were still being made. Desperate children were still wishing in the dark. But when the entities came to collect, they found it harder to reach through. Harder to claim. Harder to feed. Some bargains simply expired. The entities couldn't maintain them across the strengthened barrier. The network's work continued. Saving contract holders. Breaking bargains. Spreading awareness. But it was easier now. More successful. March passed. Easter came and went with minimal incidents. Summer brought birthdays, but the birthday demons were shadows of their former selves. And then December approached. Christmas Eve. Catherine stood in front of her window, watching the snow fall, thinking about Lisa. Wondering if she was aware in that sealed void, or if she'd gone to sleep like Emily promised. At exactly 11:58 p.m., there was a knock at her door. Catherine's blood froze. But she approached the door anyway, looked through the peephole. Santa stood there. But different. Smaller. Less substantial. The red suit was faded, the beard thin and patchy. He looked diminished. Weakened. Catherine opened the door with the chain still engaged. What do you want? To deliver a message, Santa said, his voice lacking its usual layered harmonics. Just one voice now. Just one entity, cut off from the collective. From the girl. From Lisa. He held out a letter. Catherine took it cautiously, expecting a trap. But the letter was just paper, written in Lisa's handwriting. Catherine. I'm okay. We all are. We're holding the door. It's strange here. Time doesn't work right, I don't feel hungry or tired, and I'm surrounded by ghost children who've become my family. Emily's here. We talk sometimes. We're finally rebuilding what was broken. The entities are weakening. We can feel it. Every time someone refuses a bargain, every time you save a contract holder, we get stronger and they get weaker. Keep fighting. Keep saving people. Keep spreading the word. And don't mourn for me. I'm not dead. I'm just, somewhere else. Doing the work I should have done 27 years ago when I made my first terrible wish. Merry Christmas, Catherine. And thank you for showing me how to fight back. Lisa. P.S. Tell my mother I'm sorry. And that I love her. And that Emily says hi. Catherine looked up from the letter. Santa, the diminished, weakened version, tipped his hat. She gives us this one gift, he said. One message per year. On Christmas Eve. So her family knows she's okay. It's. He smiled, and for a moment, looked almost human. It's more mercy than we deserve. Will you always be able to deliver these? As long as we exist, yes. It's the new bargain. The one she made with us. Annual proof of life in exchange for our continued feeding on the desperate wishes that still slip through. He turned to leave, then paused. She's stronger than us now, you know. Stronger than all of us combined. Because she chose to sacrifice. We only ever take. That difference. It matters. He walked down the hallway and disappeared, leaving no footprints in the carpet. Catherine closed the door and called Lisa's mother for the first time in months. Mrs. Warren. It's Catherine. I have a message from your daughter. The conversation lasted hours. Tears. Questions. Disbelief. But eventually, acceptance. And somewhere in the Black Forest, in a clearing where time moved strangely and doors stood without walls, Lisa felt her mother's forgiveness reach her across the void. It was enough. Christmas Eve, 1 year later. The letter arrived as promised, delivered by a Santa so weak he was barely visible. Just a shimmer in the air, a whisper of bells, a scent of pine. Catherine read it to the network meeting. The door is holding. The children are safe. The entities are fading. Everything is working. But I need to warn you about something. We've discovered there's another door. Older than this one. Deeper. It was never sealed because nobody knew it existed. And something on the other side has noticed that we're here. Noticed that we've trapped the holiday family and the birthday demons and all the other wish takers. It's been knocking. Not on our door. On a different one. One that's somewhere in the world, waiting to be found. The entities we sealed. They're scared of it. They won't tell us what it is. But I've seen its shadow through the cracks in reality. It's bigger than Santa. Older than human civilization. And it's not interested in bargains or contracts. It just takes. Find the door before it opens. Find it and seal it. Or run. Because if this thing gets through, the holiday family will seem like a pleasant dream in comparison. Lisa. P.S. It calls itself the First Wisher. And it says it's been waiting since before humans had language. It says it taught us how to want. Catherine folded the letter, her hands shaking. We need to find this door, Derek said. How? We don't even know what continent it's on. Lisa will send more information. She always does. But Catherine wasn't sure that would be enough. Because as she held the letter, she noticed something. A handprint on the back of the page. Too large to be human. Made of something that looked like ash and smelled like burning hair. And written beneath it in a language that predated written language, translated by something in Catherine's brain that shouldn't understand but did. I am awake. I am hungry. I am coming. And when I arrive, everyone will wish they'd never wished for anything. Catherine looked around the room at her fellow fighters. People who'd faced birthday demons and holiday entities. People who'd broken impossible contracts and saved countless children. We're going to need more help, she said quietly. And in a sealed void in the Black Forest, Lisa felt the First Wisher's attention turn toward the human world for the first time in millennia. She gathered the ghost children closer, strengthened the barriers, and prepared for a war that had been waiting since the first human child had looked at the stars and wished for more. The door she'd sealed was holding. But the other door, the older door, the first door, was starting to open. And when it did, everything they'd fought for, everything they'd sacrificed, would be tested. Because the entities they'd been fighting weren't the monsters. They were the warning. And the real horror was just beginning to wake up.